Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is again Troy R Chadwick. I'm so happy that he's here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing incredible, feeling amazing, and I'm honored to be here and grateful to be here. So thank you.
Yes, me too. Thank you for saying yes again. And for reference, it's episode 88, your first appearance, season 2, episode 44. And I would like to introduce you to the audience first. Yes, of course. You are a director, producer, and renowned for your ability to craft compelling stories both on screen and in the realm of personal development. As the guiding light for those seeking to master their minds, you have dedicated your life to empowering individuals through transformative wisdom, and it all happens in your company, Vitality, right? Tell us more about your journey.
Oh, well, that's a fun one. And wow, that was a fun introduction you just shared. It's really good. Wow, that was really good. Anyways, yeah, it's all about elevating your life. And this whole journey started by discovering this guy named Bob Proctor, who helped me to elevate my life by helping me to change how I think. And the way that that happened was I simply decided to start using that information. And that's something that a lot of people really don't dive into or understand, because most people, when they get the information, they just think about it, they read it, but they don't do anything with it. So that stirred a lot of movement towards wanting to create something magnificent that helps people to implement this wonderful knowledge. And that's what gave birth to the idea of Vitality, of which I'm partnered with Dali Alessandra. And then what we've done is we've pulled together this beautiful platform that definitely helps people to make a magnificent shift and to do it actually quite effortlessly if they'll just make a decision to do so. So yeah, that's how it all came about. And it's through the use of everything that we share that I've been able to, write the screenplays that I've been able to write, to be able to work with the people that I've been able to work with, all because of a shift of what's happening inside of me. And if I can do that for me, I got news for you. You can do that for you. It's just about making the decision that that's what you're going to do and to change the narrative that's inside of you.
Yes, absolutely. And I am the evidence that it's possible. When we first met, I couldn't talk. And I have to mention Dolly as well. She's amazing. And she was in episode 38. And I definitely want to have her again, of course, as my guest. Hello, Dolly, please say yes to another interview. What you said about I would say gathering information society, right? Something like that. I was one
That's a
of
good way to
them.
say that. Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's
I
brilliant. I'm going to use
construct
that.
yeah,
I'm going to use that.
we can do more of that, because I was one of them, and I thought I was really good at that. I was proud of myself for having so much, let's say, unused knowledge. And
Mhm.
through you and daily study, which I discovered in 2021, I learned how to not only gather the information, as you said, then or I use it now every day, now on a daily basis. And look where I am. I am the product of your Master Your Mind study group. Mhm.
I got to say something about you. And this needs to be said. And every one of you who's listening to this podcast right now needs to pay close attention to this. You, Caroline, are someone who uses this incredibly well. Because I do remember when we first spoke, when we had our first call, and yes, you were really, really quiet. You were nowhere near who you are showing the world right now. The stuff that you've done. I mean, what's the number of podcasts that you've done so far? Was it 600 what?
665
Six.
in
I
1
mean,
year.
that's crazy awesome. Good. And other things too, as well, where you lock into what's being shared, and then you apply it, apply it, apply it, apply it. And see, that's the difference between those who succeed and excel versus those who don't. The ones who don't succeed are are a member of the information gathering society. Oh, that is so brilliant. It is so freaking funny. And you have to rid yourself from being a part of that specific culture. And this is an important thing too, as well, because this is one of the things that I say frequently to so many people, and that is the personal development world has unknowingly created a culture of information gatherers. People read this book, then they go to another book. Oh, you need this book, you need this information. You don't. Every one of us already has enough knowledge to literally 10x, 20x, 30x our outcomes if we'll just do what we know. And that's something that I'm really grateful for Bob Proctor sharing with me as well. I mean, just think about, for instance, the example of, let's say, like if you procrastinate. Now, everybody who is procrastinating, if you're procrastinating, you already know that you've got to be decisive. You know that you've got to act right now with whatever you've got and then move forward with persistence and diligence. See, that's something that you know. And there are many people who say, well, I need this strategy or that strategy. No, you already know that you've got to be decisive. You know, that if you would just shift that one habit of procrastinating, because that's all it is. It's not because you're dumb and stupid that you're procrastinating, it's just because it's a freaking habit. But if you'll just shift it from being someone who is putting it off because of the habit to create the new habit of being decisive and just change that one habit alone, you will see magnificent change in your life in a very short period of time. And this is what I mean by every single one of us already has enough knowledge to dramatically increase the outcomes of our life for every area of our life. Positive mental attitude, look for the good, you know, look for the opportunities. And if you just embody those things and see yourself in a really high light and make that a habit too as well, you will dramatically change the results in your life. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. And that's something that every one of us can do. And that's what we are doing at Ella Vitality, with helping other people to do that in their lives too. So
I'm
you've done
very
that,
happy.
Caroline. You're a beautiful example of that.
Thank you so much for your answer. And that reminds me of the beautiful or a beautiful lesson we share with our clients called the knowing doing gap. And you talked exactly about that, the bridge between what you already know, because as you said, you have already all the knowledge and tools you need to succeed in life. I think those were your words. Not sure, but I can, because and then I wanted to also to say one of my goals was, and you mentioned when we first spoke, it was 1st of November 2021. One of my goals was to show the world what is possible and that it is possible. And when it's possible for me, you mentioned this, then it is possible for you as well, for the listeners. You have to be brave, right?
Yeah, you have to be brave. If you're not courageous, if you're not going to make the decision to step into that discomfort zone, then you don't deserve the success. And you have, here's another thing that you've done too, really, really well, Caroline, is you're not afraid to go into that discomfort zone. And if you are, you hide it very well. But yeah, that reminds me of a beautiful jewel of wisdom from Bob Riggs, where he talks about the comfort zone and how the comfort zone frame of mind is a dangerous place to be because it leads to more of the same. And that how if you don't step into that discomfort zone, it means you're going to stop stretching, risking, seeking, tapping into that uncertainty. But if you don't do that, then all you're doing is consenting to that right now is all you're ever going to be. And to me, that shakes me to the core. So anyways, you do that really, really well. And that's something that I recommend everybody tap into. This is really cool. There's a statement from Tony Robbins that comes into my mind when I think of this specific thing, and that is, he says that the quality of your life will always be in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty that you can be comfortable with. If you can step into that uncertainty and just say, okay, you know what, I can go ahead and do that, the quality of your life will always increase in direct proportion to whatever that is. And so with that, I encourage everyone to have an amazing amount of courage to step into that new version of themselves so that you can discover what that actually is like in the physical realm.
What a great answer. Thank you so much.
Mm.
I'm inspired now, of course, and I remember because we met on TikTok, and I was not sure if you are a real person, even though AI was not so developed as it is now. And I wanted to see you in person, right? And when I had no clue, first of all, I had no clue if you would meet me at all. And then when I was
Mm.
there, I did not know the words that I thought, but I'm doing it anyways. I don't care. And even though these are things in the mind. So you talked about the things. So we have the ability to choose the meaning we give to the things. And
To
when
everything.
when I choose that this is the best podcast episode ever, then it will be. Yeah, of course. I
That's
can choose.
true. That's a principle. Nothing is good or bad. It's our thinking that makes it so.
And I have
Your
another
life, my life.
example.
Yeah, our reality has nothing to do with the facts. It has to do with what we're making those things mean. And that is something that's rooted in us based on what we perceive to be true. And we can perceive anything the way we want to perceive it, which means we can change it. We can change our reality by changing how we see things.
That's so true. And even though we wanted to talk about you, of course, I wanted to share my first when I saw Bob, or when I attended, let's say, a master class. It was a 1 week event just before our first. It was a discovery call, and it was called Money Frequency. And I think he
Mm.
talked about frequencies as well. And in this week, I thought something is wrong with me because because I felt my frequency was elevated or something, and I thought I'm sick. I have to go to the doctor. And then someone else told me, no, that's normal. You are just, I don't know, elevating, or I don't know how you
Going
call
through a
this.
paradigm shift.
Yeah, something like that. And then I want to say, because you said you don't know how I do this, because and I feel it now. Some people call it fear, but we give things meaning. And when I say it's excitement and the joy and also courage, it's a good mixture it's a good cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much. Okay, let's talk about Bob Proctor a little
Mhm.
bit. I want to know, because I ask all of my guests, who is the best mentor you ever had? For both of us, the answer is clear. It's Bob Proctor. And he not only guided us to the material we now share with our clients, but today also marks 3 years since his transition to another phase of life. Looking back, how has your mentoring approach evolved since first meeting Bob? And you met him in person. I'm jealous about that, because I had not that chance. And what has changed in your perspective over time?
Well, first, before I dive into that, you said 3 years, and I'm going, wow, has that gone by fast? So right now I'm in a moment because it seems like yesterday. That's amazing. With that being said, he's still here right now. He's alive and well, speaking through you, speaking through me. He taught me a valuable lesson that, the spirit never dies. We never die because we are spirit. We happen to be in a physical body. Our physical body dies, but it doesn't die. What it does is it changes. But he brought up this really great point, and it ties into, for instance, when you read a book. If you read a book that's been written by someone and go into it with the intent of asking, okay, what are you really wanting me to understand? what you're doing is you're entering into the spirit of that person. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, because there's many, many times, even up to this day, where I am constantly either reading something from Bob or listening to a speech that he made, and I'm emotionally involved with it. And what's really awesome is that his spirit's in me. When you enter into the spirit of that, you got to understand that that is that individual in you. There's an emotional connection, which is why I'm moved by when you said 3 years. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that's something that happened with me when the first time I listened to him intensely was that Born Rich seminar where he was with John Canary. And at first I liked John Canary more, but then I started to realize, okay, Bob was the one who was really the source of the information when it came to that specific outcome. But then diving into it and rewatching it and using it led to incredible epiphanies within me about the changes that I could make inside. Then, which led to obviously me going to work with him, as a consultant. I remember right before that, as I was going through these changes, I was listening to lots of people like Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Wayne Dyer, and all these people. And then Bob would still keep coming up to the picture. And I remember I was getting ready to be a coach. And I said, I want to be a coach. I want to teach this stuff. I'd start to make this stuff. And there's this one coach that I was getting ready to literally take the leap of being a coach for. And I think the cost at that time was maybe I think it was $10,000 or something like that to be a high performance coach. But then as I was getting ready to do it, this little voice kept coming back. Is this what you really, really want? Or is this what you're settling for? Is this what you want? You're settling for? And then, so I took a piece of paper and I wrote down, okay, if I could be coached and mentored by anyone in the world, who would it be? And, Tony Robbins' name would come up, but then he'd disappear and Bob's name would show up again. Then there'd be all these other names that would keep coming in, and then it would be Bob and Bob and Bob. I go, oh my God, it's Bob. It's Bob. And then that's when I knew, okay, I'm going to go about and do it. And what's really amazing is that once that decision was made to be coached and mentored by him, then the way was shown. Now, there's something I do need to disclose here, which is really important. And that is, when I became a consultant, it wasn't to become a consultant. I became a consultant because there was someone else that I wanted to work with who was coached and mentored by Bob. And he was a producer. And I said, well, shoot, I want to work with this guy, or at least have this guy's mindset. And I understood enough to know that like attracts like, and that if I wanted to work with that individual or be close to them, then I would have to think like him. And then that's when all the ideas started coming to me about the solution, because then Bob would talk about how, yeah, if you want to be coached and mentored by me one-on-one, I got news for you. It's going to cost a lot, $250,000 a year. And guess what? I fire you if you don't listen, and there's no refunds. And I go, I couldn't afford that at the time. That was just a mindset issue. But then he said something really important. He says, with that, though, if you really, really want to get close to me and be coached and mentored by me, then the best way for you to do that is to become a consultant, because I spend more time with my consultants than anyone else. And that's when I said, there it is. And then from there, the decision was made, and then I moved forward. And next thing you know is I'm a consultant for Bob Proctor, and I'm showing up at things and even making sales almost right out of the gate and without any experience. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, pretty awesome.
Now I am speechless because the story sounds so familiar to me. Mm-hmm. I see myself in that story.
Yeah. It was fun. And this is really important for every one of you that are listening to this. It literally comes down to a committed decision or what you desire. And it's very important that you don't lock into how you're going to get there. If you focus on how you're going to do something before you make the committed decision, I have news for you. your paradigm's going to step in and you're going to end up talking yourself out of the very thing that you desire. You got to lock into what you love. And from there, the how gets discovered. So you don't know how. That's the whole point. That's something that Bob would say frequently. And I'll even share with you how that it transpired to go even further. Here I was at consultant training, and he moved me so much. And I was going, wow, I want to be close to this guy. I'm going to be behind the scenes, and I want to be there. And next thing you know is my name was drawn to win the day with him at Bob. And so he literally drove me to his house. And what was fascinating is how all of it started to take shape right in front of me. And then there, I solidified it even more when I was at his place and says, you know what, I'm going to be so behind the scenes on this. And then that's when the opportunity came for assistance to work behind the scenes at all the paradigm shifts. And I got to tell you what, it just all took place together. And next thing you know is I'm behind the scenes. I'm in the conference rooms, and I'm there with Bob. And this is kind of funny. I remember the first time I showed up at the paradigm shift, and it was when I did go in there and volunteer. And then Bob was on the stage, and yes, he remembered me from being at his house, being over there. But then he's on the stage, and I'm at the bottom of the stairs at the stage, really close to him. He doesn't notice that I'm there. And then he finally does turn his head, and he looks at me and he goes, "What are you doing here?" And I says, "Well, I'm here." I goes, "I'm here to help. I'm here to help Tommy." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And then we moved on. But anyways, that happened a lot to where I was constantly around, and it led to some amazing, beautiful conversations with him, to where the last consultant training that we had, where I had his, phone number in there, and I could just text him and say, "Hey, can I come talk to you?" And he'd say, "Sure, come back." And he would say, "Okay, what is it? How can I help you?" It was pretty awesome.
Yes, it is. And I could listen to you for hours. And yeah, and for people who want to do this, of course, you have this beautiful master your mind, how do you call this? Offer. And with all the recordings in the back office, and we can listen to it over and over again.
Mhm.
I do this frequently because the secret is in the repetition part, right? So I will listen
Yeah.
to the episode again too, and I love how you share your memories with Bob.
Mhm.
Yes, I miss Bob as well,
Yeah.
and this is what I did. So I wanted to step outside comfort zone, do something crazy enough, and here I am, totally transformed. We are transformed. Of course, I have another question for you. You always encourage people to set a goal, not just in their minds, but in writing on a goal card, carrying it with them until they truly believe it. Since you first created your own goal card, how has your thinking evolved from "I don't dare to write this down" to "Yes, I can do this" to "I've got this"?
Well, the key component for the goal card, here I got mine right here, is to be emotionally involved with it. Bob Proctor would say this all the time: if you write it on a goal card, it must happen. The thing is, though, is when he says that, he's basing it on the assumption that you're emotionally involved with the idea, that you're one with it. Neville Goddard talks about this when he talks about faith, for instance. He says, faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. And what's amazing is that when you do have that loyalty to that unseen reality, to the point of where you're consumed with the idea, to the point of where it's a magnificent obsession, then yes, it'll start to be made manifest in the outer world. That's exactly how I got to do the things that I did, for instance, with Phil Goldfine, how I optioned my first film, how I wrote the screenplays that I wrote. It was continuously by writing it and becoming one with the idea. It's the same thing with what's taking place within Ella Vitality, as a disruptive voice, something that helps people to make change in a very short period of time just by a shift in their perception. And yes, the goal card is amazing and it's powerful and it works. But again, the reminder is that It only works if you're locked into it, if you're one with it. Now, I've known this here, and because there's questions that I would be asking before, because there are some things that I have accomplished before where I didn't have this idea of a goal card. Well, how was I able to do that without having the goal card? Well, what I didn't understand at that time is I was an unconscious competent. I was unconsciously competent at doing those things. But I will say to you that the reason why I was able to do those things was because of the very reason that I shared with you. It's because I was locked into it. I was one with the idea. It was an obsession for me. And so anyways, with regards to the goal card, it shifted me from being an unconscious competent to a conscious competence now, where I'm doing it with intention. In other words, doing it consciously, not something unknowingly, from a paradigm that was, gratefully installed in me to be able to do that. With that being said, if you get a goal card and you use it, you make it important, make it special, carry it with you everywhere you go. I say this to people. It should be more important than your phone. Most people, for instance, when they have their phone and they lose, say like they walk out, leave their house, and then they're about, at the gas station or whatever, and they realize they forgot their phone. Most people, I'm going to go back for my phone, right? They're going back. Why? Because it's important. Okay. Well, I say to you to this, so that's good that that's important to you because you've made it important. But well, you do the same thing for a card that has your goal on it. And if you don't, that's going to reveal something incredible. It's going to reveal that the idea is not as important as you think it is. Because to me, if I am out of the house and I don't have this with me, I feel naked. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to have it. Why? Because I'm attached to it that much. And again, when you are attached to it that much, when this symbolically has that meaning of importance to you, then there's no way that it's not going to be made manifest on the outside. It works, and
Yes,
it works awesome every time it's
it,
used.
it works beautifully. I am
Mhm.
also an evidence of that. And my question was, how has your goal card changed or your goal changed? Did you make it bigger or what happened? Did you accomplish goals and make another one?
Yeah, it has changed, and it keeps getting refined and keeps getting bigger. With that being said, I can see it taking shape from solely from the stuff that I wrote. There's a lot of things that have already happened from that, for instance, the setting of the goal to be, for instance, amongst the most successful feature filmmakers in the world. I mean, there's things that took place along the way where optioning, writing, speaking with people, and it's still taking form as we speak. The beautiful thing is that I'm not really worried or concerned about it. I just need to stay locked into the idea and then do the work. But the same thing's happening with regards to everything that's tied to Ella Vitality, because Ella Vitality is intertwined with that, because I use the information that we share to be able to do those things. So it has been awesome to see the shifts that have taken place, the changes in the outer world that have happened because of the power that I have given the gold card. And that's an important distinction, because it's not the gold card that has power, it's the meaning that you give it that gives it power. So with that being said, it's been amazing. It's actually led to us writing and publishing books, of which even there's this other book that we're getting ready to launch right now, which is a massive game changer when it comes to perception and belief. And the reason why that's important is because when you believe something is true, we always follow through with what we believe to be true.
Yes. And I believe this interview into existence. Thank you so much. Of course. And when you talked about goals, I love that so much. It's also in thinking into results a worthy ideal. It starts with the right setting or setting of the right goals, not just goals you can imagine or you do next week. It is really about a lifetime goal. And as you said, all your needs are met along the way, or this was correct. I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah. You
yeah, of
never
course.
ever want to set a goal. You never want to set a goal based on what you know you can do or think you can do. And unfortunately, that's what we've been conditioned to do. I mean, how many times have you heard this phrase, set safe goals, right? Goals that no, don't do that. That doesn't mean you don't go for the goals that are on the way to your worthy ideal. I mean, there are things that you can do along the way that will give you this thing called momentum, but you should never, ever make the safe goals, the things that you know you can do or think you can do, the primary thing, because all you're doing when you do that is you're reinforcing the pattern of more of the same thinking, which then leads to more of the same feeling, which then leads to more of the same results. And that's not something I know I don't want. I'm certain that it's something that you don't want either.
No, I want scary goals and exciting and scary at the same time. And I remember I was afraid of writing it down in the beginning, and then you picked the right goal. And yeah, and then the next level is you speak it out loud. You can use this app as well and listen to it. Yes. And I want to talk about your goals again. You talked about filmmaking, and yeah, we understood this with Phil Goldfine, amazing man, and yes, accomplished so much of his goals, so many of his goals. Yeah, I still have this language thing, but yeah, no problem. Okay, your goals, you are a writer as well, and you
Mhm.
help people to change their inner narrative with vitality. And I want to know, because you talked already about your new book, and of course, I want to know everything about your new book and the upcoming event.
Yeah. So there's another narrative, I should say, that the personal development world has also unknowingly passed on. Remember how I shared with you how the personal development world has unknowingly created a culture of information gatherers, and you so beautifully call it the information gathering society, right? And this is this is so funny when you think about it. Um, well, it's also done something else, which I think is actually even more harmful than that. Because even though you can get the information, at least you have the information, then you can start from there with the implementation. But this other thing is actually quite harmful in a big way. And that is the illusion that you are the only thing that's stopping you from delivering the success that you want, that you are in your own way, that you're your own worst enemy, or that you're self-sabotaging. I mean, how many times have you heard about that, Caroline? That's been told to you, right? You're the only one that's stopping you, right? You've heard that. You're your own worst enemy. You're the one that you're the reason why things aren't happening. But I want you to really think about the psychological negative weight that goes on your shoulders when you consent to that belief. Have you ever noticed that whenever that happens, it's very heavy, and also guilt, shame comes into play. Oh, I did it again. You start singing this song from Britney Spears, right? Oops, I did it again. Um, but it leads many people to feel hopeless. And you felt that way. Have you felt that, right, Caroline? Just like it's like, oh, what's wrong with me? You even said it earlier. You thought you were broken, right?
Yeah,
And
what's
it's
wrong with me and what do I
yeah,
have to fix? And also, like, I'm doing everything. I'm trying. I can name all those words we don't use anymore. So, oh,
yeah,
I'm trying so hard. I tried 100 times and it's not working. And then it's me, it's guilt and shame. And then you hide yourself somewhere. You don't show up anymore.
yeah. All because of a belief that you are the one that's stopping you. You're in the way, that you're self-sabotaging. Well, here's the truth. The truth is you are not your own worst enemy. The truth is you are not broken. The truth is you're not sabotaging yourself. See, every one of these statements of you're stopping you, you're in the way, you're self-sabotaging is a lie you've been taught to believe. You've been taught to believe, you've been conditioned to believe it, and not just by others, but maybe even by yourself as well through maybe your interactions. And here's the thing is the people who have dove into that and shared it with you, who passed these on down to you, the idea of self-sabotage, did so without truly understanding who they are. And that right there is a massive thing. Yes, are they well-meaning? Of course they are. 100% they're well-meaning. But they were disconnected from their true nature, just as many of us feel, just as you might be feeling now. I think about that in terms of the idea of self-sabotage. Okay, it's been repeated so often. Experts talk about it. People write books about it, right? How many times you can look up overcoming self-sabotage, right? You see it. You hear people even say that you're sabotaging yourself. But here, when you dive into it and you start to dissect it, what you'll start to realize is that it's actually not true, and it's not. It's not true. And the question you've got to ask yourself is, well, what if this? What if the whole concept of self-sabotage is built solely on a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature? What if it's just solely based on that? Now, think about the frame self-sabotage. Okay, self meaning you, right? You sabotage. You are yourself doing it. But when you combine that with sabotage, and you understand what sabotage is intentional. Okay, just think of like someone, they're going to war, right? You're going to war and you want to mess up the enemy. You're going to sabotage what they're doing. You're going to mess it up. You're going to destroy it. It's an intentional, willful act of destruction. Now, think about this for you. Are you willfully, intentionally bringing into your mind, into your life, negative thoughts, ideas, limitation?
You
You're
would
not.
never do this.
You would never freaking do that.
No.
Yeah, but I want you to notice how the belief is in there, and how that belief leads to this crazy negative feeling. And when you really look at it in terms of the truth about this, because the truth is, you're not at odds with yourself. You're not your own worst enemy. When you look at it, though, you'll see that every action, even the ones you regret, all of them that they were driven by your subconscious mind doing exactly what it believes is best for you. Okay, now it's a lot of times you may not look that way on the surface. It may, in fact, feel really crazy, but you got to remember that those actions that are happening, which is caused by the feelings you have, which is caused by what's happening in you subconsciously, is what's being externalized. Now, this is important because, again, it ties into understanding that it's something that's running from a program in you, that it's not you. And that changes everything. It changes everything when you shift that narrative and understand what it is. You got to separate you, who you truly are, from what is really causing the struggle. Okay, the struggle. Now, there are many people who might think, for instance, that this is semantics. Oh, you're just playing with words, Troy, but am I really? And now that's a fair question. Semantics, meaning you're just playing with words, but there's something that needs to be super, super clear. And again, this ties into this debate about words. You got to understand that the words that we use, the words that you use, that I use, that all of us use, they reflect and reinforce the beliefs that we hold as true. Now, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. And so when you call your action self-sabotage, when you are using those words, you reinforce a narrative of what? Blame, shame, conflict. Oh, I'm stopping me. What? I mean, and that's a heavy weight. Now, this is important because that is not semantics. What is that? That's called perception. That is not semantics, it's perception, which means it's not a play of words. And that right there it's huge, it's important, it's a dramatic shift. So by reframing self-sabotage, I should say, by reframing it as a subconscious misalignment, it changes everything. And again, it's not about playing with the words, it's about playing with understanding who you are and how your mind works. And so this is why, we ended up coming out to, write this book. And we know that we're going to get a lot of resistance from it. You know why? Because the self-help industry, personal development. Remember, experts write about self-sabotage. They tell you you're stopping you, you're in the way. If go research this. Go do a search on ChatGPT and ask the question, what percentage of the personal development world uses self-sabotage, or that you're in the way, or that you're stopping you, as its fundamental basis for changing you? And you know what you're going to find? It's like 80 to 90%. 80 to 90% of the narrative in the personal development world is throwing that at you, which means it's now in your belief system. But the thing is, it's a lie. It's a complete lie, especially when you dive into being able to dissect why it's a lie. And this is the thing that we're wanting to shatter in the minds of people, because when you release it, when you first of all understand, number one, who you truly are, and number two, how your marvelous, miraculous, incredible, powerful mind works, which Bob Proctor has definitely helped me to see. And by the way, if Bob Proctor were still physically alive today and he and I were to have this conversation about this and he were to receive the book, I'm certain that he'd be going, oh my gosh, you're spot on. He actually said the same type of thing when I sent him my last message to him on Christmas morning. It's like, oh, wow, you got that right. And it was all stemmed from using what Bob Proctor taught. But with that being said, you see, when you understand you and who you truly are, of which you are not your name, you're not your race, you're not your skin color. See, you're much more than that. Those are all concepts of yourself that you've agreed to. But when you dive into understanding who you are, and the way you can understand who you are is just by getting to know how your mind works and what its purpose is for, you'll then begin to realize, oh my God, you're a magnificent creative being. And then from there, separating what's really causing the struggle from the true you, well, that's when you'll fly. And not only will you fly, but you'll receive incredible change in a very short period of time. And so that's what we're doing. We have this book. It's called There's No Such Thing as Self-Sabotage. It's an amazing book that will shatter the illusion that you've been fed, which is a lie. You are not stopping you. You are not in the way. You are not your own worst enemy. And you're not self-sabotaging. You actually have, what's interesting? You actually have to get in the way. Not out of the way. You got to get in the way. You got to step into that spiritual perfection that's already in you. And then from there, recognize what's stopping you. There's a beautiful thing that Eckhart Tolle said, which resonated with me so much. I mean, it's like, woo, massive vibration. And that was, he said that all negativity is subconscious. All negativity is subconscious. You know how he talks, Eckhart Tolle? All negativity.
I will train this a little bit, okay, for you, then I can inspire. Okay, so there were so many nuggets in there. Okay, the negative, all negativity is subconscious. That is so true. You talked about the subconscious. I think the subconscious is the loyal servant to you. I know you did not.
No, it's not loyal to you. Your subconscious mind.
Yeah, it's not loyal.
Your subconscious mind is a loyal servant, but it's not loyal to you. It's loyal to what you've made important.
What you made important. And also when you talked about people say it is semantics, then it is the paradigm speaking, again, searching for excuses not to change. And then you talked about it is a movement as well. What you're creating now with the new perspective, there's no such thing as self-sabotage, upcoming book. And of course, you talked about Bob. Bob would have been very proud. He is proud. He's watching now, and he would have wrote the foreword to the book.
I'm certain that he would have. Yeah.
And when you free yourself, so this is the best thing you can do by changing, or let's say shifting the perspective, the perspective, looking differently at things. You free yourself, and at the same time, you free the whole world.
Oh, and also it changes everything.
Stepping into it. The best thing you can do is not getting out of the way, stepping into it. That reminds me of entering into the spirit. by Thomas Troward, and also accepting the energy of the idea. Because when we think of life as a flow, when we are in that flow state, everything is attracted to us, then of course we are in the flow. We are not outside waiting for, I don't know who is going to change us for us. We can only change ourselves. It starts with the decision. I would say it starts with a choice to become aware that you have a choice and to make a committed decision. I'm so happy for our interview. I know I want to respect your time here. You told
Yeah,
me
so
we
I
have
want to add on something there real quick. Okay,
yes.
you can't change yourself because yourself, your true you, is already perfect in every way, shape, or form. And this is an important distinction that needs to be placed here. You cannot change yourself. What you can change is the programming. Very important, huge difference. Don't think in terms of changing yourself. Think in terms of changing the conditioning, the programming, because your true self doesn't need to be changed at all. It's already perfect.
Yes, I said perspective, change the perspective, shift the perspective, and I have to re-listen it again, because if you catch me, then I when I say like you call it shut that shit down, right?
Yeah.
When you catch this, then I have to and it was subconscious. You said all negativity is subconscious, then I have to re-listen to it again and change my inner narrative, of course. And I would like to mention the event
Yeah, it's on
2/22, right?
February 22nd. February 22nd it's our Majestic Mastery Series of webinars that we have. This one's called Shattering the Illusion, where we are definitely going to shatter the illusion. We're going to be diving deeper into this of getting rid of the idea that you're stopping you, that you're in your way. And there's going to be something magnificent for everyone who attends, something that they can literally practically use to help to embed within them these changes that might be inspiring you right now. So yeah, by all means, I do recommend that you do show up and invite someone else too as well. You go to ellavitality.com to go register.
Or you click on the link in the show notes, of
Oh
course.
yeah, that's it.
Thank
Click it in the show
you.
notes. Yeah.
Or reach out to Troy, reach out to Caroline, reach out to Dolly.
That's right.
Of course. And thank you so much for our interview. I'm inspired as always. And I see you tomorrow in Daily Study.
Okay, we'll see you soon.